Shavua Tov, everybody, and welcome to another week of the Israel Brief, where you guys join me, Rolene Marks, as we take a look at those top stories making the headlines. We do it every Monday to Thursday, and we do it in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land. Yes, if you want to receive our weekly newsletter, please be in touch with us via our website or email us at layotland@gmail.com. And that applies to you if you want to write for us, and we welcome people who want to write, and we have a poet's corner, and we have people writing on a variety of topics. So if you want to get your creative on, be in touch with us. Now, I have a very exciting announcement for you. Because you guys enjoy my rant so much, and because my soapbox is really a bit battered and used, I am adding some more content to the Israel Brief YouTube channel. So it is free, but it is exclusive only to the YouTube channel. So it's not on Facebook, it's not on Instagram, it's not on the other socials. It's exclusive to YouTube, and it's called Roro's Extra Rant. And today I recorded the first one, so you might want to visit the Israel Brief to see who today's who I had in my crosshairs today. Now, it won't be every single day, but it will be fairly often. And if you've got somebody you think deserves the Roro feisty treatment, please pop it in the comments section. And as always, because we are a community, in fact, we're not just a community, we are also partners. I value your input so much. Coming up a little later, we have your audience question. It comes from Linda Kruger in Johannesburg, asking a very, very important question. And I remind you that every Thursday I bring you your choices of mentions and morons, and I've already had some morons coming in. So this is why I love you guys. This is why I want to do extra for you, because you make me just feel extra generous. But let's take a look at those top stories, and we start as we have while we are covering Operations Epic Fury and Roaring Lion. We start in Israel, and a particularly difficult weekend for Israel following impacts on various civilian sites across the country. On Friday, the bomblets from a cluster bomb, and as I have been explaining to you how these cluster bombs work, there are many different what they call bomblets, and that is the military technical term that are inside the head of a ballistic missiles, and in the air it fragments and scatters them all, in quite a large area, and they are extremely dangerous and cause a lot of damage. On Friday, there was impact on a kindergarten in the city of Rishon LeZion. And where I live in Modi'in, we were in and out of our shelters about 7 times between about 5 o'clock in the morning till about lunchtime. In fact, twice we had missile after missile in quick succession. Some of the shrapnel from these ballistic missiles also impacted in the Old City in Jerusalem, very, very close to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Now, last week we had some of the shrapnel fall very close to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, one of the holiest sites in Christianity, the site where Jesus was put on the cross, but also the site of the stone of unction where his body was laid prior to burial. And in fact, we believe his burial site is also within the confines of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And the Al-Aqsa Mosque, as we know, is built on top of the remains of the Holy Temple for the Jewish people, what you guys might know as the Western Wall. So in this very, very small concentrated area, a lot of damage because of these Hamas munitions. Saturday was particularly difficult with impacts in the city of Arad in the south, and over 100 people were injured, including children. 9 buildings were damaged there. And in the other southern city of Dimona, and you can actually see on social media the videos of the impacts there. In the north, we've also had impacts in the town of Misgav, causing injuries to quite a number of people. Yesterday, also some impact sites across Tel Aviv, the Ayalon Highway, the city of Petah Tikva. On Friday, we had some debris landing in my city, in Modi'in. And let me tell you guys, while we are extremely resilient and we believe that we must fight this war and we must fight it to the end, because we need to eliminate the Iranian regime, the people of Israel are taking the hits because Iran is firing specifically at civilian areas, which of course is a war crime. Yesterday, President Herzog, Prime Minister Netanyahu, Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar and other officials went down to the impact sites to show their solidarity. And when you see the destruction, it's actually a miracle that nobody was killed. And I really believe that the hand of God sits over this country. Meanwhile, the IDF have continued to strike Hezbollah sites in the south of Lebanon, and as we speak, the Israeli Air Force is carrying out targeted strikes in Tehran. Turning now to Gaza, and a Hamas cell was eliminated in the center of Gaza, about to launch an attack on Israeli troops. Also staying in Gaza, the Board of Peace have presented their proposal to Hamas to hand over all of their weapons. As we know that one of the conditions for the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip is that we have a completely demilitarized Gaza, that Hamas is not allowed to have weapons ever again to wage the kind of attack that they did on the 7th of October. Meanwhile, Hamas officials have expressed their great pride in the attacks being carried out by Hezbollah against Israeli civilians, as well as Iran against Israeli civilians. So moving now from Israel, let's go to Lebanon, to the south of Lebanon, and the IDF have bombed more of the bridges on the Litani River that are used for ferrying Hezbollah, as well as weapons transport. Now, on Friday, a journalist, and I use that term loosely, a journalist working for Russia Today, who was very, very close to the impact site when the IDF struck the Kuwaisa bridge in Lebanon on, I think it was Thursday afternoon, went onto global media and accused Israel of trying to assassinate him. First of all, Mr. Sweeney, yes, Steve Sweeney, if you are going to accuse Israel of trying to assassinate you, it's usually a good idea not to tweet out the fact that you were given over 24 hours worth of notice to evacuate. So why did you take yourself and your team, risking your team's life? I mean, we don't care if you want to risk your life, but you're also risking your cameraman's life, your producer's life, taking them to a site that you know is going to be struck, and standing there without your helmet on. Was this for the purpose of sacrificing your life so that you can shill out some propaganda for RT? Well, we keep receipts, and we've got your tweets saying that you were given notice to evacuate. As I just said, Hezbollah have also claimed responsibility for the attack on Misgav and fire towards the northern city of Kiryat Shmona from Hezbollah has resulted in several injuries, including one person in serious condition. Turning further east, we now go to Iran, where over the weekend the Iranians fired 2 ballistic missiles some 4,000 kilometers away towards the US base at Diego Garcia on the Chagos Islands, which, as far as I know, probably still belong to the United Kingdom. Now, this is a very interesting point because there are many people, and what I've noticed with this war is that people are unable to divorce their hatred of personalities like Trump and Netanyahu from the reality on the ground and the reality of the threat that we face by Iran. And, you know, you're entitled to dislike whatever political leader you want. I don't care. But people aren't entitled to make up facts. Now, I found this very interesting because people have said that there is no way that Iran poses such a threat. We had that counter-terror head, Joe Kent, no sooner who had resigned from his position than he ran off to do the usual hate suspects, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly, in saying that Iran poses no threat and President Trump lied. Well, here you have a ballistic missile, 2 ballistic missiles fired to territory 4,000 kilometers away, which actually also puts London, Berlin, Paris, and quite possibly soon even the United States within the range of Iranian ballistic missiles. So now do you understand, those who are detractors, why we are at war with Iran? Now imagine that those ballistic missiles, which thank goodness one was intercepted and one fell short, imagine if they had nuclear warheads. Then what? Now you understand why we are at war. Also, over the weekend, the spokesperson for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, Mohammad Naim, was eliminated by the Israeli Air Force. A few days before, he had given a press conference saying that Israel will be eliminated. So he was eliminated by a missile after he accused or he warned Israel that he would be eliminating us. And the big question everybody is asking is, where is Mojtaba? Where is the new Ayatollah Mojtaba Khamenei? Does he even know he's an Ayatollah? Is he still in a coma? Well, according to the Washington Post, citing Israeli and American officials, he is believed to be wounded, isolated, and not responding to messages relayed to him. Now, I want to know how these messages are relayed. Are they notes? Are they WhatsApps? Is it a Ouija board? Who knows? The big question is, where is Mojtaba? Now going to the United States, where over the weekend President Trump warned Iran that if they did not open the Straits of Hormuz within 48 hours, he would obliterate their entire energy infrastructure. Now, we have an interesting phenomenon that has developed today, because earlier today, President Trump said he had been engaged in productive talks with Iran for complete and total resolution of hostilities in the Middle East, and he had postponed plans to attack energy sites. That's what the agreement had been. Now, Israel hasn't commented on this. We are watching to see what's going to happen. But no sooner had President Trump said that, then the Iranian foreign minister came out and said basically there have been no talks, that this is a defeat for the great Satan. Yes, there is the Iranian regime using that language again, calling the United States the great Satan and saying that no negotiations, no conversations had taken place. But now President Trump's doubled down. He says, no, the Iranians want a deal and let's give it 5 days. So are we seeing, you know, what we've kind of come to expect from President Trump, you know, that he plays this kind of strategy to see what he can draw out, what's happening there. All I know is that from the Israeli side, we're not commenting. Meanwhile, US authorities have warned Americans around the world that supporters of Iran could possibly harm them, and for them to be extra vigilant. And CENTCOM Chief Admiral Bradley Cooper has said that Iran, by targeting civilians, is operating out of desperation. Now to your international news, and today's big story in the United Kingdom is the horrific blowing up of three they're called United Hatzalah here, but three Hatzalah ambulances in Golders Green in London. Now I just want to say something about Hatzalah. Hatzalah is a volunteer organization completely funded by donations. And while, yes, it is a Jewish organization that funds this, kind of like the St. John's, these ambulances, these paramedics provide care for everyone. No questions asked whether you are Jewish or Hindu or Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter. But this is a blatant act of anti-Semitism. One of many, sadly, we have seen in the United Kingdom, and check out my rant on the Israel Brief channel for more about that. But as has become the custom, we've heard from Prime Minister Starmer saying, anti-Semitism has no place in Britain. Well, Mr. Starmer, you can take your thoughts and prayers and anti-Semitism has no place in Britain and shove them, because you have allowed this to happen. You and the Mayor of London and your party, the Labour Party, have allowed this to happen. From the minute you did not clamp down on the hate marches that began on the 8th of October, you've allowed this hatred to fester. You've allowed it in every aspect of your society, from university campuses to civil life to business, to your media. You've allowed London to become a no-go zone for Jews on a Saturday because they are terrified given the hate speech that comes out of these marches. You've allowed Jew hatred to ferment in your street with impunity because you feel the need to pander to your backbenchers. We won't forget that you prematurely recognized a Palestinian state before we had even received back all of our hostages, the living and the dead. You rewarded Hamas for their terrorism, so you are responsible, not to mention the media in your country, the BBC, Channel 4, Sky News, The Guardian, I could go on, who foment this demonization of the state of Israel. So basically, don't say that there's no place for Jew hatred or anti-Semitism in Britain. You've created the conditions for it to flourish. Staying in the United Kingdom, and Cabinet Minister Steve Reid, despite the two ballistic missiles fired towards the Diego Garcia base, has said that he doesn't believe that Iran poses any threat to Europe. I don't know. What needs to happen, Mr. Reid? Does a ballistic missile need to land on your house before you pay attention? And the worrying thing is you don't have the air defense array that we have in Israel. Now to Spain, where Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has demanded an end to the unlawful war. Sanchez, who has become increasingly hostile towards the state of Israel and including the Jewish people, was rewarded for his comments with his words put on a sticker and stuck to a missile which Iran proudly fired towards Israeli civilians. Now that's unlawful, Prime Minister Sanchez, but I'm sure you're mighty proud of that. I just want to tell you that this is not the 1400s and the Inquisition is over. Oman have said that they are working vigorously to secure passage in the Strait of Hormuz, given the impact that it has on the global economy. And Qatar has denied any involvement of any mediation between Iran and the United States, saying they are busy defending their country from Iranian missiles. So those are your top stories. Let's take the audience question, and it comes from Linda Kruger, who says, and it's a very good question, how are missiles still getting through? So first of all, I think what we have to understand is that 400 ballistic missiles, many of them cluster munitions, have gotten through our air defense array, and 92% of them have been intercepted. Now, this is an extraordinary percentage. But also, our air defense systems, which is multi-layered, you've got the Arrow, you've got the David Sling, you've got the Iron Domes, the Iron Beam, our pilot, and of course also another very important layer, you've got the home front. You've got Israelis going into our shelters, but it's not hermetic, it's not perfect, which is why it's so imperative that we on the home front obey the home front command, and when we hear those sirens, when we get those alerts, we go immediately to the closest bomb shelter. But unfortunately, it is not 100% hermetic, but 92% is pretty damn amazing. So, Linz, I hope that answers your question. So, guys, that's it from me for today. Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's growing because of you, and I love you so much. I want to give you extra content, so make sure that you check in with the Israel Brief often. You can even press that little bell on the Israel Brief channel icon, and that will notify you every time there's new content. Our website is at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook page is at Lottel's site. We're on Substack and LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, and on my website at rorosrantings.wordpress.com. And guys, just a reminder, the extra rants are only on YouTube. Guys, I love you. Mwah. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.